You're proud of not needing anyone. That's the part that should worry you. You handle everything yourself. You don't ask for much. When you're hurting, you disappear. And when someone tries to help, you say, "I've got it." People call that strength. But what if the strength everyone admires was built from something that hurt you? Because sometimes people don't become independent because they love freedom. They become independent because, at some point, depending on someone stopped feeling safe. And once you learn that lesson deeply enough, you don't just become self-sufficient. You become someone who doesn't know how to be cared for. You can love people. You can show up for them. You can carry their problems without hesitation. But when someone tries to carry yours, something inside you says, "No, I've got it." And you may have been saying that for so long that you've forgotten where it came from. Here are 10 signs that your independence may be more than independence. It may be protection. 1. You say, "I'm fine," before you even know if you are. Someone asks what's wrong. You answer automatically, "I'm fine. Nothing. It's okay." You don't necessarily know why. You just know that explaining yourself feels uncomfortable. Because once you start talking, someone might have to respond. They might worry. They might ask questions. They might try to help. So you shut the door before anyone gets close enough to enter. 2. You're much better at giving care than receiving it. You can listen to someone for hours. You notice when they're overwhelmed. You know exactly what to say when they're hurting. But when someone does the same thing for you, you become uncomfortable. You minimize it. You joke. You change the subject. Because giving keeps you in control. Receiving requires trust. And trust means allowing someone to see the parts of you that can't handle everything alone. 3. You make yourself incredibly easy to love. You don't ask for much. You adapt. You forgive. You understand. You let things go. Everyone thinks you're easygoing. But sometimes, what looks like emotional maturity is actually self-erasure. You've become so focused on being easy to love that you've forgotten to ask whether you feel loved while being yourself. Because there's a difference between being kind and being afraid that having needs will make someone leave. 4. You disappear when life becomes too heavy. You withdraw. You stop replying. You tell yourself you need space. And maybe you do. But sometimes you're not taking space. You're hiding until you've repaired yourself enough to become functional again. So people only ever meet the finished version. They see you after you've survived it. They rarely see you while you're surviving it. 5. You turn your emotions into problems you can solve. Something hurt. Instead of admitting it, you analyze it. Maybe they didn't mean it. Maybe they were stressed. Maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you're being too sensitive. You become the lawyer defending everyone except yourself, because understanding an emotion feels safer than feeling it. And this is where it gets expensive. You're not processing your pain. You're organizing it. You become incredibly self-aware, but strangely disconnected from what you actually need. And the deeper this goes, the less it looks like independence, and the more it starts looking like protection. 6. You feel guilty when you need something. You need reassurance. You need someone's time. You need help. You need them to show up. And before you even ask, you feel guilty. It's not a big deal. They have enough going on. I'll handle it. You've learned to measure your worth by how little you require. The less you need, the less you can disappoint anyone. and the less anyone can disappoint you. 7. You solve problems before anyone gets the chance to show up. Something goes wrong. Your first thought isn't, "Who can I call?" It's, "How do I fix this?" And yes, that's competence. But here's the cost you may never see coming. If you solve everything before asking for help, you never discover who would have stayed. You never risk hearing no. You never risk being let down. Your independence protects you from disappointment, but it also prevents you from learning who is safe. 8. You secretly want people to notice without having to ask. Ask his. This is the contradiction nobody talks about. You want someone to notice you're exhausted. You want them to ask again when you say you're fine. You want someone to see that your silence means something. So you wait. And when nobody notices, a familiar thought appears. See? I knew I couldn't rely on anyone. But here's the uncomfortable part. Maybe people aren't failing to care. Maybe they've simply learned to believe the version of you that says you're fine. You trained people to respect your walls, and then wondered why nobody knew how to get through them. Protected. Unproven. 9. You feel safest when nobody can disappoint you. This is where independence quietly becomes isolation. If nobody gets close, nobody can leave. If you don't ask, nobody can refuse. If you don't expect much, disappointment becomes easier to survive. You may tell yourself you simply prefer being alone, but sometimes what feels like peace is actually the absence of emotional risk, because intimacy requires something independence doesn't. Uncertainty. You cannot control whether someone stays. You cannot guarantee they won't hurt you. And if control is how you've learned to feel safe, genuine closeness can feel strangely threatening. Not because you don't want love, because you can't control it. 10. You don't know who you are when you're not being strong. This is the deepest sign. Imagine tomorrow nobody needs anything from you. No crisis. No problem to solve. No reason to be dependable. If you was certain, who are you then? If that question feels uncomfortable, pay attention. Because maybe strength stopped being something you do. It became your identity. You became the person who survives. The person who keeps going. The person who needs very little. And after enough years, you stop remembering that this was something you learned. You start calling it your personality. But there's a difference between who you are and who you had to become. And that difference matters. You don't have to destroy your independence. You don't have to suddenly depend on everyone. You don't have to become completely vulnerable. You simply have to stop believing that being strong means being unreachable. You can handle your own life. That's still, and still let someone help. You can be independent and still need someone. You can be strong and still say, "I'm not okay today." Because the goal was never to become someone who needs nobody. The goal was to become someone who knows they can stand alone, without believing they have to. The person you became to survive deserves your gratitude. They protected you. They got you here. But survival strategies are not always meant to become permanent identities. Maybe you've spent enough years proving you can carry everything. Everything. Maybe the next chapter isn't about becoming stronger. Maybe you've been strong enough. Maybe it's about learning something much harder. How to let yourself be known before you've figured everything out. Because the most powerful version of you may not be the one who needs nothing. It's Ness. It may be the one who finally realizes, I can be strong and still let someone hold what I can't carry today.